Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Money Minutes. I'm Zak Gardezy, the founder of Wealthstone Private Wealth Management, a wealth management firm based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm also a certified financial planner and the host of Money Minutes, where I discuss the latest market headlines and my outlook. So this week I'll share insights on how earnings season is going so far. We'll talk about oil prices, and lastly, I'll cover some key earnings dates for not only Wealthstone clients to pay attention to, but also for just investors who are focused on technology and the AI sector as a whole. So let's get right into it. So to kick things off, earnings season is in full swing, and last week the big banks led the charge. Charles Schwab, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Citi all exceeded expectations in key areas that we discussed last week, such as wealth and asset management, where revenues were strong across the board. Additionally, the heads of JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America spoke positively about the economy. They talked about consumer spending and the labor market being strong, but they did express some concerns about the negative impacts of high interest rates. And both JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo beat analyst expectations and delivered strong earnings reports. And traditionally, when the big banks start earnings season in really a high note, it's often a signal of a good earnings season overall. Now, moving on to ASML, which is a stock we've discussed before. It had a rough week. So to recap, ASML is a Dutch technology company with really a near monopoly on a technology that's used to make the tiny patterns on computer chips. Now, that's really critical to chip design, but the US government has pressured the Dutch government for years to tighten export controls on ASML, really to prevent them from sending their best machines to China, which would ensure that China lags behind the US in advanced chip making. Now, while these restrictions have hurt ASML, long term, the company really believes that with the use of AI and the fact that they make an incredible product that really a lot of chip makers, if not all of them, need, it's still going to, over time, not impact them as much as maybe it is today. So now, given the upcoming US elections, there's also a potential for maybe some different export policies. It just depends on who wins the election. But now many headlines that I'm reading about ASML right now are calling this a great buying opportunity. And while I do agree long term on that perspective, I just don't see any reason to rush into that before the election. And so just kind of wrapping things up on the topic of AI, Nvidia recently announced that their newest Blackwell chips are sold out throughout all of 2025. So when we think about AI, this is a very positive sign for chip makers, but also for AI themed stocks in general. Now let's move on to oil prices. So the recent escalation of tensions in the Middle East caused a spike in oil prices, particularly after Israel threatened to strike Iran's nuclear and oil facilities. Now, Iran retaliated by threatening to strike oil facilities in other Gulf nations, which would have led to a severe global oil shortage. And this created a geopolitical challenge for the Biden administration, which, they had to persuade Israel to take a different approach. And in the meantime, Gulf states assured the Iranian president that they would remain neutral in any conflict between Israel and Iran. So this political chess game caused oil prices to rise. But once Israel confirmed that they would only target Iranian military sites, oil prices dropped about 9% from their highs. Now, it's important to remember that, while oil and gas prices are correlated, short-term fluctuations in oil prices don't always result in immediate changes at the pump. For example, during the recent spike in oil prices, gas prices remained relatively stable. And now that oil prices have somewhat dropped from their highs, we shouldn't expect a quick drop or really a change at all at gas prices at the pump. So we'll be paying very close attention to these escalations and future events in the Middle East, as they do have serious impacts, not only in the oil market, but in the overall global markets as well. So I want to shift some attention to some upcoming earnings dates. So on the screen, you'll see a schedule of earnings dates. And as earnings season continues, I wanted clients, not only at Wealthstone, but really any investor who's watching this video, to just have a list of a few companies to keep an eye on. Some of you may be watching this video after TSMC reports earnings on the 17th, and this will be huge for tech and the AI sector. TSMC is the world's leader in chip manufacturing, and since Nvidia is a fabless semiconductor company, they rely on TSMC to produce their chips. Now, based on analyst expectations and the positive news that we've heard about the semiconductor industry and AI demand, it's really expected for TSMC to exceed analyst expectations. However, if there's any weakness in the report, we could see a pullback in the semiconductor space and the broader market. Now, I'd be really shocked if TSMC doesn't beat expectations, but we'll find out in the morning. Now, in addition to TSMC, all the companies you see on the screen will be bringing big headlines and they'll be market movers. So it's crucial to pay attention, especially if you're invested in an S&P 500 ETF or some other large cap fund, as many of these companies are the top holdings in those funds. So, and if you're focused on the AI space, if you're an investor there, these earnings reports coming up will be good indicators of the health of the industry. So now this does conclude this week's episode of Money Minutes. I thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions or would like me to review your portfolio, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.